Hi YouTube, it's Janelli, also known as MissBeHelpful, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my checking accounts that I've had and different banking experiences from when I was 16 and I opened my first checking account all the way to today being 30. But first, before I jump into that, I just want to let y'all know I post videos every week right here on my YouTube channel to talk about money, all things personal finance, because I know that when I was growing up nobody really taught me these things and a lot of people don't like to talk about money. And when you go online and look for things about personal finance, it's just boring. And I feel like it's not really that boring, and it doesn't have to be confusing. It could actually be really fun and easy to understand as long as we kind of talk about it in regular words and regular talk. So that's why I post these videos, to hopefully help people, learn these things and for me to break it down for you. So I'm gonna start right here by talking about my first bank account that I ever had. I was actually 16 years old and I really wanted a quinceañera real bad when I was a teenager, but my family didn't have enough money at that time. And so we kind of saved up a little bit more, and I ended up having a more American, more traditional sweet 16, because by that point there was a little bit more money, for my dad to pay for the party. And I remember at that party, it was like a couple of $100s that all my family and like my friends put together for me. And I ended up taking that money to the bank. Now, I grew up in Bushwick in Brooklyn where, in order to go to like the local bank, you had to kind of walk pretty far. There wasn't really banks right near where my house was. So we ended up going to a bank that is pretty well known, at least in the area where my family mostly was, which was like next to Bushwick in Williamsburg. And that bank is called Dime Bank. I don't even know if Dime Bank actually still exists or if it is around anywhere besides New York. But anyway, that's where I got my first checking account. And it was like not even $1,000, less than $1,000. It was just a couple $100s. And I opened the checking account. My mom went with me and we opened the checking account. And like within a few months, I was already tempted to start touching the money. And it was just really annoying because I remember you couldn't really access the money. This was back in the day, when I was 16, there was no such thing as mobile banking or online bank accounts. So I had to take the train all the way to the stop in Williamsburg where the bank was if I wanted to get money out of the bank or if I wanted to, talk to somebody or whatever. And it was just really annoying. So by the time I turned 18 and I moved away to college, I decided that I didn't want to have a Dime Bank account anymore because it was going to be so expensive for me to get cash with my debit card at all the different banks that were not Dime Bank. Like I went to school in Providence, Rhode Island. There was no Dime Bank over there. I don't even think there's a Dime Bank anywhere but in New York City. So basically, because I didn't know I knew that there were no ATMs for that bank, I figured it's time for me to change banks. And so when I was 18, I walked around a little bit on my campus and I saw that there was mainly one big bank on that campus, which was Bank of America. And they were everywhere. Bank of America had ATMs everywhere. They had the bank branch was right there, like right on the main strip where my school was. And so it was actually very perfect and easy for me because when I would come back home, there was actually Bank of America in enough places next to my mom and dad's house that I knew it was going to be easy. So that's when I decided to change from Dime Bank. I went to the bank and I said, listen, I want to close the bank account. How do I do that? And she said, you just have to withdraw all the money that's in the account and that's it. And you basically close the account. So that's what I did. I took all the money out, put it in an envelope. When I went back to college, I went to Bank of America and put all the cash into a bank account there. And that's when they sat down with me and started to tell me about their credit cards and their student offers. And, anyway, that's a separate story. But basically, I ended up getting a student account, checking account, and a credit card. I did not open a savings account. Why didn't they try to sell me a savings account? I don't know, but they sold me a credit card instead. So basically, that's when I switched everything over to Bank of America, and I've pretty much had Bank of America for such a long time. Like for years and years, I had Bank of America, and I never really thought to compare Bank of America to another bank to see if they were gonna have, better interest rate or to see if they had lower fees or anything. I never really thought compare banks. I just had Bank of America. It was easy for me. It was on campus. And I had my debit card and that was it. And so, a few years went by. I was still banking with Bank of America all through college. I graduated college, came back home, still had Bank of America. And then when I finally started to learn about personal finance, this was probably in 2014, I started to seriously sit down and look at, read books and look at my accounts. And I was like, oh, these books are saying that you should compare banks. You can't just stick with the one that you had since way back in the day. You got to actually look and see, is this still the best bank for you to have based on your current needs? Maybe it's not what you needed back when you were 16, but you might need it now. And so I was like, that makes sense. So I started to look around online and I found out Bank of America, unfortunately, has some of the lowest interest rates in the entire world for savings accounts and checking accounts. You don't get interest on a checking account. And at that point, in 2014, but at that point I had already had a savings account. And so, that I opened a little bit later on. So I basically realized like, okay, I have a couple $100 sitting in a savings account and it's not making me any money. So that's when I really realized, okay, Bank of America is just not the business when it comes to getting interest on your savings. I wanted a high yield interest rate for my savings account. So that's when I decided to change bank accounts. And in about 2015, I decided to change banks and I went to Ally Bank. And that's when I started a savings account with Ally Bank. I have pretty much always had my emergency fund of savings sitting in an Ally savings account. And, obviously their interest rate's going to go up and down a little bit, but it was one of the first banks to really offer such a high interest rate. And that's why I kind of, I just really like them. And the easy thing too with them is that you can have multiple accounts and balance them out very easily. You can manage the different accounts super easy. So basically I decided to go my savings to Ally. Then when it came to checking, I still wasn't very happy with Bank of America because every time you use your debit card with another bank, like a Chase Bank ATM machine or a Citibank ATM machine, you get charged fees twice. You get charged a fee for using that ATM machine, the ATM fee, and you get charged a non-branch ATM fee. So because it was not an ATM from Bank of America, I would get charged a fee for that. And so I just got so frustrated with that. And I remember at that time, I was still a hot mess with all my money stuff. So I was getting charged overdraft fees all the time. Like I was getting charged overdraft fees. I have two different overdraft fees I remember getting charged. One time it was $12 or $15 charge because they would move the money from my savings account into my checking account to cover the fact that I didn't have the money. So that was one type of overdraft that I had, and that was like overdraft protection or whatever. And then I had the other overdraft fee was like $36 if it wasn't linked to a savings account, because at that point, after a certain point, I had moved my savings account. So then they started charging $36 if it overdrafted and I didn't have the money. So that process was just so frustrating for me. Like somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, how are you gonna charge them $36 every time? So that whole process was really frustrating, and I ended up deciding to move my entire checking account from Bank of America over to Charles Schwab. And two reasons why I loved Charles Schwab, and I still use them to this very day, is one of my checking accounts is with them, is because of two things. One is no ATM fees. I mean, you do pay the ATM fee when I say put my debit card in a Chase Bank of America or Chase or Bank of America ATM. I do end up saying, yes, I'll agree to pay the fee right now. But at the end of the month, Charles Schwab will always give you a rebate. Basically, they pay you back for the ATM fee. So if I pay $5, $10 in a month for ATM fees, Charles Schwab will put those $5 or those $10 right back in my checking account at the end of the month. So really, you're not paying ATM fees ever. So I really love that. And there's no limit. It's not like they only do that for the first 10 times that you use a non-ATM Charles Schwab ATM network ATM. No, it's unlimited. They will always rebate you back. So once I learned that, I was like, oh, done. We out here. I'm going to go to Charles Schwab and use the checking account services from them. And, I've been very happy with it. Also, no minimums for your account, no maintenance fees, no fee. Like, it's just, they get rid of all those crazy fees that I used to have with Bank of America. So, long story short, deuces to Bank of America, moved my money over to Charles Schwab, and I've been a happy camper pretty much ever since. But the annoying thing is that this happened to me a couple times in the past few years. I would go to the ATM machine, and let's say, some of my family members, sometimes I'll, need to take out some money to help out with my family. And I needed to take out, let's say, $2,000 or $3,000. If I need to take out that much cash, the ATM only allows me to go up to $1,000 in one day in terms of getting cash out. So oftentimes I would find myself stuck with like, oh, I could only access $1,000 in one day of cash. And I, in one or two instances in the past few years, I've needed more cash than that at once. And I don't want to go all the way to the bank, or it's the time of day. It's already 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. and the bank branch is closed. So you can't even talk to somebody if you wanted to. So that's when I realized, okay, I think I need to have a couple of different checking accounts. But I still keep most of my money in the Charles Schwab checking account because of two reasons. One is because of the ATM no fee thing, which I love. And two, because they also give you interest on your checking account. There are not a lot of checking accounts that exist today that you get interest with your checking account. Usually you get interest on a savings account, but with Charles Schwab, you do get interest on a checking account. It's interest-bearing account. So I love that. So basically, I keep most of my money in the checking account, most of my spending money in that Charles Schwab checking account, and that's what I have it linked to my direct deposit and all that kind of stuff. A couple months back, like around February of 2019, I ended up opening an account with Chime. I wanted something that was a lot more mobile friendly. Like I was really tired of having to go constantly to the bank. And I honestly it was one of the easiest things that I have ever done. Like, I just wanted to test it out really mostly for a few reasons, because one, I know that a lot of young people around me in my life and stuff have a lot of issues with overdrafting and, you know, dealing with bank fees. And I realized, okay, there's going to be a lot more online and mobile banking stuff happening with those younger people in the next generation after me than even I had. So I want to know, what is it like to have one of these mobile banking experiences, so I can know if I want to recommend it or not. And so that was one of the big reasons why I opened my Chime account, but also just to have some extra cash there in case I ever needed to take out more than $1,000. I knew that I would have multiple checking accounts. So that's why I ended up going to Chime and opening that account. And I think that it's so easy to use. It's great. I got that green envelope in the mail with my debit card. I opened it. I was like, oh, this is so easy. It was like literally a week or two after I set it up online. I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to deal with any customer service agent, nothing. I literally just went online and set it up. So the two checking accounts that I mainly use right now is my Charles Schwab checking and the Chime checking, which only has like, I think right now I only have like 1,500 in there, but it's just, you know, spending money for if I need to. And then, you know, most of my checking is in Charles Schwab. And then I have my Ally savings account, and most of the other money, that probably totals up to like a good $7,000. After that, all the rest of my money is in investments, which some people probably think is crazy, but that's really how I handle my money. It's kind of mixed between HSA, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k, all these different accounts. So I'll make a separate post about those investments and where I have all that money sitting. But I just wanted to kind of go through the checking, why I like the accounts that I like, why I have them, and what are the perks of having these types of accounts and stuff. So if you guys have questions about this video, just put them down below in the comment section and let me know where you do your checking at. Like, if you're looking for a new bank, you want to change your bank, you want to look for a no ATM fee bank, or for no transaction, no fees, no maintenance fees, monthly fees, no overdraft, that kind of thing. Like, let me know what you're considering and what you already have, because I think checking accounts are more and more going to start gearing in that direction of no fees or less fees, and no overdrafting. I mean, I just feel like at this point, if the bank is still charging overdraft fees, like, you need to say goodbye to that bank. You need to go somewhere else, because it is 2019, is about to be 2020, and that overdraft stuff is a thing of the past. So yeah, I want to hear from you guys in the comments, but also if you want to email me, you can do that at MissBeHelpful@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. And that's all I have for you guys. Till next time, peace.